The liturgy of the Eucharist and its component parts do not make much sense unless we acknowledge that the primary purpose of this liturgy is the sacrificial offering. Christ offers himself on the cross for us, a sacrifice that he prefigured the night before with the Last Supper. Through his actions at the Passover meal, Jesus fulfills the purpose of the Passover, but also creates a new sacrificial lamb. In remembrance of the Passover and in the continuing need to wash the people clean of their sins, the ancient Israelites would slaughter lambs in the temple as an offering to God in expiation of their sins. Jesus is offering that sacrifice once for us all, but he asks us to remember that sacrifice through the breaking of the bread. It is Jesus' body and blood which is offered for us. It is this same body and blood that is offered to his disciples under the appearance of bread and wine at the Last Supper. And it is this same body and blood that is offered to us under the appearance of bread and wine at every Mass we attend. Ancients would make a sacrifice as an offering to God, or whatever fake gods they believed in, so that God would do something for them, or in thanksgiving for something they received. It was common to make an offering for a good crop at planting time, and again after a good harvest, or to make an offering to ask for a child, and to make another offering when a child was born. Jesus makes the ultimate sacrifice, in the literal sense of the word ultimate, and that it never needs to be made again. However, he asked us to remember that sacrifice, and remembrance in ancient Hebrew means to make present again, meaning we are making that single sacrifice on the cross present again on the altar using the method he prescribed at the Last Supper. This is why we hang a giant crucifix on the wall above the altar. For that matter, it is why we call it an altar, as an altar isn't a table, but specifically a place where a sacrifice is offered to God. The crucifix on the wall is a physical representation of the spiritual reality happening on the altar. Because the Mass is a sacrifice, just like the ancients, we can offer our participation in it up to God for a purpose, which is why after we pass through the gateway of believers, that is the creed that we covered last week, the next thing we do is the prayers of the faithful, also known as the general intercessions. Here we ask God for the things that we need as we remember his eternal sacrifice on our behalf and the infinite graces that he pours down upon us because of that sacrifice. The Church gives us a pattern for these intentions, generally starting from the most universal intention down to the most specific purposes. The first category is the needs of the universal Church. This category includes petitions for the Pope, bishops, and pastors of the Church, its missions, Christian unity, and vocations to the priesthood and religious life. Second, public authorities and the salvation of the world. This category includes petitions for peace, leaders of governments, elections, respect for the freedom of the Church, good weather, the safety of crops, and the resolution of economic crises. Third, people burdened by any kind of difficulty. This category includes those burdened by poverty or any other tribulation, the unborn, the persecuted, the unemployed, those facing a disaster, the sick and infirmed, the dying, prisoners, and exiles, to name a few. Fourth, the local community. This category represents the local community of faith. People to pray for may include those in the church preparing for baptism, confirmation, Eucharist, holy orders, or marriage. This is where specific parish needs should be communicated. For example, praying for the success of the upcoming Light of the World retreat. The fifth category is silent prayers. Toward the end of the list is usually an instruction to all of us to silently offer our own private intention for the Mass. Finally, those who have died, especially including the special Mass intention for the day. We are starting the liturgy of the Eucharist with this list of intentions because these are the things we are offering the sacrifice of the Mass for. While every Mass is offered in a special way for some individual or group at the request of their loved one, the Mass is also offered on behalf of all of these needs. We will see this fact come up again when we get deep into the Eucharistic prayer, but that is a story for a different day. God bless.